You're listening to Flip Empire, the show committed to helping real estate entrepreneurs who want to build their empire without sacrificing their life. Your success and freedom starts now with your host, Alex Pardo.
What's going on, my friends? Alex Pardo here, and I'm back from a 6-night cruise with the family, so I'm super pumped to get back after it. You're listening to episode 615 here on the Flip Empire Show, and I want to go ahead and tease you with a few things. On today's podcast episode, I'm going to share with you the foolproof 7-step plan to achieve anything you want in life and or business. Now, before you kind of like scoff or roll your eyes at that, I realize it's a bold statement. I truly believe it. In fact, I don't know that this 7-step plan has a name, but I think it's called in some circles the Ken Holmes Plan. And if you don't know who Ken Holmes is, he's a personal friend of mine. He actually happens to also be my storage coach. And I believe he's the one that came up with this. So I want to give him credit. If not, he may have gotten it from somewhere else. But it's a 7-step plan that I heard for the second time at a Storage Rebellion mastermind retreat that I was at prior to going on this cruise. I was out in Nashville, Tennessee with a bunch of my storage buddies. An incredible event. Mike Wagner, also just blessed to have him as a good friend, runs an incredible community and got an opportunity to deepen certain relationships, start building new relationships. And honestly, that's really what this is all about. So incredible event. On today's podcast episode, I want to share with you just a few things that I took away from it. One of those being that 7-step Ken Holmes plan. So make sure you stick with me through the end of this podcast episode so you can hear what that's about. But I want to first start off by sharing with you the parable of the drowning man. And I'm going to go ahead and tie this in to a story. And the reason I want to share this with you is because a really good friend of mine, Terry Royce, who I had the opportunity to coach about a year or so ago. Well, Terry was the one that presented at the Storage Rebellion retreat, and he shared his journey transitioning from a very, very successful single family wholesaling and fix and flip operation in Maryland. In fact, they were considered one of the largest wholesalers in the Maryland area. Well, about a year and a half, 2 years ago, they transitioned from doing 100 plus transactions a year, over 30 rental properties that they owned. They sold the business, sold their entire portfolio. In fact, I've interviewed Terry Royce on the podcast, so we'll make sure to link it up in the show notes here. Definitely encourage you to check that episode out. As an aside, you can always go to flipempire.com and in the search bar, just put in whatever keyword of any episode, 615 episodes now. So any topic or expert that you want to hear from, we likely have it covered on the show. But back to Terry, he successfully sold the business, sold the portfolio. And there was some trepidation about getting into storage. And fast forward to today, they now own 6 facilities. They are absolutely crushing it. And they're an inspiration. And I share that with you because there's so many single family investors that reach out to me on a monthly basis wanting to transition into commercial, whether it's multifamily, storage, or other commercial assets. And I share that with you because it can absolutely be done if you're very thoughtful and intentional about what you want, why you want it, and you follow this 7-step plan that I'm going to share with you. But before I do that, Terry actually mentioned the parable of the drowning man, and it was brought back to the top of my mind because I haven't heard this parable in years. And I want to share it with you because I think there's so many powerful teaching lessons within this short parable. So I'm going to do my best version of a narration. I'm going to go ahead and read this short story, and this is from Wikipedia. You can just go ahead and Google parable of the drowning man if you want to read it yourself. But I'm going to do my best approach at reading this short parable. So stick with me here. It's not long at all, but it's packed with wisdom and some key learning lessons. And then I'll go ahead and expound upon this. So a storm descends on a small town, and the downpour soon turns into a flood. As the water rises, the local preacher kneels in prayer on the church porch, surrounded by water. By and by, one of the townsfolk comes up to the street in a canoe. "Better get in, preacher. The waters are rising fast." "No," says the preacher. "I have faith in the Lord. He will save me." Still the water rises. Now the preacher is up on the balcony, wringing his hands in supplication, when another guy zips up on a motorboat. "Come on, preacher. We need to get you out of here. The levee's going to break any minute." Once again, the preacher is unmoved. "I shall remain. The Lord will save me." After a while, the levee breaks and the flood rushes over the church until only the steeple remains above water. The preacher is up there, clinging to the cross, when a helicopter descends out of the clouds and a state trooper calls down to him through a megaphone, "Grab the ladder, preacher. This is your last chance." Once again, the preacher insists the Lord will deliver him, and predictably, he drowns. A pious man, the preacher goes to heaven. After a while, he gets an interview with God and he asks the Almighty, Lord, I have unwavering faith in you. Why didn't you deliver me from that flood? God shakes his head. What did you want from me? I sent you 2 boats and a helicopter. So that's the end of the story. Hopefully you were able to stick with me. Now, don't be deterred by the fact if you're not a man or woman of faith, if you don't believe in God, whatever your beliefs are, I support you. And that's everybody obviously is entitled to their own beliefs. They're still learning lessons and wisdom, regardless of where your faith lies or where your belief is. Mine is in God. And I think if you listen to the show, you know that. And I don't shy away or back down from that. Hopefully, regardless of your beliefs, you can still tune into the show because I want to pour into you. And the parable of the drowning man brought back so many memories and so many times in my life and in my business. And I'm hoping that you can relate to this in some way where you have a confident attitude. You have a belief that things are going to work out, but yet you sit on your hands. You wait for the stars to align to go start that business, to go scale that business, to scale down the business, to hire someone, to make that investment, to make that key hire. Whatever it is that you're after, whatever it is that you want, you need to believe it, you need to see it, and then you need to follow that up with relentless action, relentless, consistent action. Don't be the drowning man where you're not opening your eyes and you're not seeing all the opportunities coming your way, and you're not seeing the path to accomplish whatever it is you're after, and you don't jump in the helicopter, you don't jump in the boat, so to speak, because you just believe it's going to work out, but yet you're not really taking any action. And so I share that quick parable with you, and I back it up with just a short kind of example from my life because I've been there before. I've been there where like I have this unwavering belief and faith that things are going to work out, but yet you have to ask yourself, and I've had to ask myself, are my actions aligned with where my faith and belief is? Right? Because God can send me all these opportunities, but if I don't act on it, he's not going to help me and I'm not going to help myself. I'm ultimately going to drown like this preacher. Right? So look around you today for the helicopters and the boats. Where are the helicopters and the boats in your life and business? What is it that you want? And then ask yourself, are you following that with an unwavering belief? And are you acting in faith? Now, I want to go ahead and tie this into the Ken Holmes Plan, the 7-step plan to achieve anything you want in your life and business, because in my mind anyway, sometimes I think things work out on this show and I don't know how they translate, right? But in my mind, I think it kind of ties into the parable of the drowning man. At this Storage Rebellion retreat, Ken Holmes also spoke, again, a good friend of mine and my coach. And this, on one of his slides, he had a picture of this 7-step plan that he came up with years ago, or again, maybe he got it from someone. And I wanted to share it with you. So I'm going to go ahead and share this slowly. And if anything, I just want you to rewind this episode and listen to this again, write it down. And I would encourage you to write it down and put it up somewhere by your computer, your office, your journal, so that you can see this on a daily basis. And by the way, this was one of the takeaways I got. This is a reminder for me as well. So here's a 7-step plan to achieve anything you want in your life and business. Number 1, write it in your vision. Right? Hopefully you have a vision for your life, what you want your life to look like. Write what it is you want in your vision. Number 2, read the vision. Number 3, believe it. Number 4, be grateful in advance. And guys, this is a key one. This is something that I have to remind myself on a daily basis, to be grateful in advance, not just for the things I want, but for the things I already have. Most people are focused on what they want. Few people are grateful and express gratitude for the things they already have. And that's key. Because if you're listening to this podcast, chances are you already have and own more than 99% of this world. All right. So number 1, write it in your vision. Number 2, read the vision. Number 3, believe it. Number 4, be grateful in advance. Number 5, make the best plan you can and start. Make the best plan you can and start. Notice it doesn't say make the perfect plan. It says make the best plan you can and start. Most plans are not going to be perfect, but you course correct, like that pilot that sets out to get from Florida to California. He's off course 95% of the time, but he arrives at his destination. All right. That's how a plan is. Make the best plan you can and start. Number 6, expect to start seeing serendipitous things. Expect it. Notice number 4 was be grateful in advance. Step 6 is expect to start seeing serendipitous things. Simple tools like visualization can really help with that, by the way. And then last and certainly not least, relax in your faith. So I'm going to go ahead and recap this, and I'm going to go ahead and share with you a quote back to Terry Royce. So Terry and Ken are getting some love on this podcast today. So I'm going to go ahead and share a quote with you that ties into step 7. So a recap of the 7 steps: write it in your vision. Number 2, read your vision. Number 3, believe it. Number 4, be grateful in advance. Number 5, make the best plan you can and start. Number 6, expect to start seeing serendipitous things. And number 7, relax in your faith. So step 7, relax in your faith. On one of Terry's slides, he actually referenced a Bob Marley quote, which I had never heard of in my life. And I thought it was very interesting. The Bob Marley quote is, "The day you stop racing is the day you can win the race." So I think that ties into step 7, relax in your faith. You got to find that combination of relaxing in your faith, being grateful in advance, expecting to start seeing serendipitous things, but make sure to jump in the boats or the helicopters whenever you see them. Keep an eye out for them, because the universe, God, whatever you believe in, is sending you these things. Life is happening for you, not to you, if you believe that. That's what I want to leave you with on episode 615. As an aside, those of you who have some interest, I've had a lot of people reaching out about, Ascend, different masterminds. What do you look for? That kind of thing. AscendYourSuccess.com. We actually do have a couple of spots open at this moment, which doesn't happen often. So if you're interested in joining a high-level community, you want to just kind of talk about it with Steve and I to see if it's a fit. On both ends, AscendYourSuccess.com. And other than that, I look forward to connecting with you on the next episode. Take care. Hope you enjoyed that episode. But before you go, I've had a lot of people recently reach out to me wanting to learn more about Ascend, wanting to understand how the mastermind component works, how the coaching relationship works. And so right now we're actually on a waiting list. But what I would encourage you to do is, if you think you're the right fit and you think you could benefit from being a part of our community, head over to AscendYourSuccess.com, watch the short video, and then just click the apply to join button below. And then we'll be in contact with you if and when a spot opens up. So really appreciate you listening to Flip Empire here, and I look forward to connecting with you on the next show. Take care.